When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs. Oh my gosh. We are going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects today, and we have an amazing guest with us, Lori Lyons. And of course, if you want to see our guests, you've got to hop over to Facebook or YouTube at Colleen Biggs. That's Colleen Biggs at YouTube or Facebook. So if you're listening to this on podcast, it's another way for you to be able to see the video and see what we're doing on the video as we are recording this. But today we're talking about getting more leads and driving more clients. It's the number one thing in business. All of us are in sales and marketing. So Lori Lyons is here with us today. We're going to be talking all about that and diving in deep on how you can drive more leads and get more clients. But before we do that, I want to thank our sponsor today, Turning Leaves Recovery, life and wellness coaching. Addictions, negative attachments, and habits that hold us hostage are all seated in a pressure to perform and a reliance on something outside of ourselves to provide peace, joy, comfort, relief, value, validity, and worthiness. Trisha Peridot is the owner and creator of Turning Leaves Recovery, Life and Wellness Coaching, and her passion is to make life better for people seeking life recovery, equipping them with the right life skills, and helping them set the right aspirations so they can live life and live it freely in one amazing personal journey. Trisha's combined her journey with addictions that span for more than 30 years of her life with her 25 plus year recovery journey and in-depth degree studies to create an intimate, interactive experience designed to be focused on life going forward, transforming emotional intelligence, expanding your consciousness, and generating a healthy lifestyle for any recovery journey without creating overwhelm. So be sure to visit her coaching courses, bundled programs, and more at turningleavesrecovery.com. Her information is below, so please feel free to reach out to her. And thank you, Trisha Peridot with Turning Leaves Recovery, for being the sponsor of today's show. All right, let's talk about Lori. She is the CEO of Igniting Your Business, a marketing strategist and coach that shows entrepreneurs how to get more leads, more clients, and make more money with a magnetic digital and website presence. Lori teaches business owners to make their marketing simple. We all know we want to take away those barriers and make it simple for people to do business with us. She does that through her programs and intimate cohorts. She's a sought-after speaker, media guest, and host of the podcast, The Encore Entrepreneur. You guys need to go download that, where she translates the complicated side of the marketing speak into simple, everyday language for her audiences. Lori is also the business category writer for Podcast Magazine. Many of you didn't know that about her, and is a contributing marketing writer for CorelLife.com, a website for women in midlife. I need to be on that community somehow, Lori.
Yes.
So welcome to the show, Lori.
We can make that happen. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I love your podcast. So this will be fun.
Thank you so much. Lori and I have met at in-person events. We've become good friends. We are now working together and doing whatever we can do to leverage our partnerships and relationships with each other to serve those that we want to make an impact on. And really, that's what this is about, right? Working with other people and leveraging those relationships. And so, Lori, our listeners want to know this. Okay, get more leads and drive more clients. We're all in the business of, marketing and sales. And I love it when my clients are like, "Ugh, I hate the sales side of my business." And I'm like, that is your business.
Yeah.
Sales. Every time you open your mouth, you're enrolling. I tell them you're enrolling your dog to go to the bathroom outside. You're enrolling your children to pick up their toys. You're in my case, enrolling my grandchildren to eat, and drink in the kitchen, and pick up their toys. So talk to me, why marketing? Why the marketing side of the business? What is it about that lights you up?
I think just the creativity of it lights me up. And I was thinking to myself, and I'm going to say this when you were talking about sales. If you look around, look at everything in your immediate visual sphere or in your world, everything in this world is sold.
That's right.
The Kleenex is sold, the pens are sold. Somebody sells the little umbrellas that go into beach drinks. So if you're afraid of selling, then get over it. But the difference in marketing and sales is marketing is bringing the clients, which we're going to talk about today. And then the sales is actually presenting your services to them. So how did I get into it? I kind of fell into it. And it all of a sudden, all of my training and everything that I'd done is like, oh, this is marketing. Hello. I didn't go to college with a degree in marketing. I was an education major, but I was, all of my work experience, my corporate experience was in the marketing field. So it just, all came together with websites. It was like, oh, this all fits, all my design background, everything. So that's kind of, I literally just fell into it.
I love that you said that marketing brings the clients, sales is the enrollment piece of it, right? That's the conversion of the client. Right. So getting more leads, it's kind of a big topic.
Yeah.
It's always been a big topic.
Yeah.
It's why people hire me as a business coach. They want to make more money. They want to build their business. They want to scale their business. Many of the women I work with, you need to get out of their own way, right? We figure out, and so we do too, Lori, you and I. There isn't anyone in any business that doesn't at some point have to get out of their own way when they're moving to the next level or scale, or maybe the next level of client, or, being on a bigger stage, whatever it may be. So talk to us through, you've taken a couple leaps, you've built some businesses, you've taken risks. Talk to us through some of the risks that you've done that have provided you and prepared you for working with your clients today, because there's some risk involved. There was always investment, and people see investment as risk. It's just how they see it. How do we change that narrative and switch that perspective a little bit?
Yeah, it's, and thinking about and preparing for the show, knowing what the theme of your podcast is, I was thinking about some of the leaps I've taken. And I think the first big leap that I took was, as I said, I was a certified teacher. As a second career in the early 80s, I was going to be a teacher. It was the perfect career to raise kids and, be a mom and all the other stuff that goes with it. And then I got divorced and I realized I couldn't make it on my teacher's salary. So I took the leap and said, you know what, with teachers, the contract is the thing. When you sign a contract, then you're there for the next year. And I said, you know what, if I sign this contract for next year, I'm never going to leave. I will be still sitting in here, when I'm old and gray and kids are making more fun of you than you are at the time. So I just decided, I took the leap and didn't sign my contract, which meant that I had to get a job. So, did that. And those paths of those jobs led to my next leap, which was, I had been working I got married and remarried and moved to New Jersey, worked for a company. And I discovered, the more I thought about it, I thought, it was a small business, this partnership, he's getting 50% of my profits and all he's doing is handling my receivables. Well, I can do that. This was in the day when things were on carbon paper and we were typing invoices, but I had a big 286 computer on my desk that was, the size of my desk, and I was doing my own stuff. So the next leap I took was said, I'm going to do this on my own. I left and started my own business. And that was back in the day when people didn't work from home. So an entrepreneur and wasn't really the buzzword then. It was like, you work by yourself and you work from home. That's kind of weird, but it worked well for me. And so, moved forward 2006, all of a sudden the internet was around. And because I sold marketing packaging, I sold binders and folders and video and DVD packaging, all of a sudden people didn't need that anymore. So in 2006, it wasn't necessarily a leap. It was standing at the top of the hill and sliding on my butt down the end of it, because it took me a long time to say, I've either got to the internet was taking over what I was doing. People were going online and putting all this stuff online. So my services weren't necessarily needed. So I either needed to switch what I was doing, totally bring in a new way of doing things, or just walk away. And I thought, I'm just ready to walk away. I didn't have the energy to redo all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to work for a few people, did the old, okay, now I'm unemployable. But 2008 hit, 2010 came along, still, pot shots, taking shots here and there at different things, and went to work for a digital marketing agency, and realized after being there about 6 months that this is where everything kind of came together. This is where all the design background, this is where all the marketing background, this is where all the packaging and working with clients and the sales and all of that came together in the digital marketing field. But I had to teach myself how to do it. I didn't know anything. So I did. At that time, YouTube was a very geeky place to be. And I'd go on YouTube. I got WordPress for Dummies to teach myself how to do this. And keep in mind, at the time I was 52. So 50, somewhere around in there. So I was
50 years old, Lori.
Yes.
And I don't feel like sometimes I do feel like I'm starting over, and I'm like, is this really a good time to start over? And I'm like, why not? I'm in the second half of my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And age is truly only a number, but I taught myself all this technical stuff. And then in around 2014, I went out on my own again. So, that was a leap. A business coach said to me, what are you doing? Why aren't you doing this full time? And I was afraid, I was afraid to do this, to take that, here we go again. But I did, and I haven't looked back. So, and then it becomes a matter of, why didn't I do this sooner? What was I thinking? So
do you think that I'm going to say that I believe that there's a lot of fear, the false evidence appearing real, right? But it's so real to people in why they don't get more leads and drive more clients. And then when they do get more leads and drive more clients, why aren't they closing the deal? Why aren't they enrolling them? And I do believe we get in our own way and don't believe. I talked to someone yesterday in a mini coaching session, and they said to me, she said out loud, not realizing what she said in a sentence, I question myself, can I really get them those results?
Yeah.
And I said to myself, well, how did it become your responsibility to get them those results? Because are you a partner in their business? Are you taking the actions? Are you the one that's going to do the phone calls and close them on or are you giving them the tools, the resources, the guidance, hold them accountable, and you're coaching them through it? Right. Which one are you? And she said, oh, no, I'm not their partner. I'm coaching them through it. I said, so then how can you be held accountable for those end results? And essentially we can't. But if we think we're responsible for what that person does, that's like being responsible for our children once we've raised them. If they break the law or get a driving ticket, it's not our responsibility that they got that. We already raised them and taught them, here's the consequences of the law if you speed.
Right.
But if they get a ticket, it's not our fault.
Yeah. And, and I see this a lot of time with my website business because, all of a sudden people will disappear and then it becomes like, well, why didn't you remind me of stuff? Or why didn't you do this? I'm like, last time I looked, you were a big girl.
Yeah. You were a business owner.
Yeah. And this was the date that we said that we're going to be due. So
you're not on payroll for a job. You're a business owner, right? So first of all, I think there's a take responsibility. And what you just explained to us, Lori, throughout your life was you took responsibility when things weren't going the way you wanted them to go. When you needed to make pivots and change different paths and careers, you did that without hesitation because you knew I had to do it. I need to do something different. If I continue down this road, this isn't going to work out for me. So that's number one, right? So it's taking action on changing the path in your business, taking action on, if I've heard so many people say, well, I don't like my website, so I don't want to send anyone to it. By the way, that was me. I had just had someone build it really fast. And, and I hate to say this, but it was a gentleman that someone referred me to. And I knew it. I knew it when he started. I was like, he's just not getting my vision. building it like a guy. He's not building it like, the way I want it. And, but it was just something that I, wanted to get going. And I'm so thankful that God kind of put that in my brain that I needed to get that going, because when Lead Up for Women abruptly shut down, I had to quickly move to my website and start, utilizing it and building it out as quickly as I could. And without it, I would have just been dead in the water. So I'm glad I had at least something to build on.
And that's a lot of people's story from March of 2020 is that they'd been ignoring this asset, because it is an asset to your business.
Let's talk about that. Yeah.
If it's an asset that they'd been ignoring, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, everybody's looking online because I can't get out to see them. What am I going to do now? So, and that's probably a whole nother podcast that we can talk about. Okay. but I'm happy to go there. I'll go wherever we'll take this path wherever.
I'm going to tell you this: websites are an asset, right? It's I explained it to someone one time, because coming from corporate America and all of the businesses that I launched in corporate America as a business consultant, the number one rule was tell everybody about you, and you were a brick and mortar, and you had a sign on your building that was lit. Okay. Let's just picture that building with no sign. Right. Let's just say you have nothing in the windows. What are the odds that someone's going to stop on by and just come in and say, what kind of business are you? Yeah. We advertise our brick and mortar with signs. That's how I see websites, right? Like you're advertising yourself online. And then with that, you've got to do SEO so people can find you. SEO is like the lit sign, right? And then your brick and mortar store to me is like the website. It's just kind of how I see the marketplace. But talk to us about why the asset of a website is so important in getting leads.
Yeah, well, let's take that visual a little bit further. If you drive by the store and there's cobwebs in the window and the curtains are torn and and maybe they're faded, then that's the way your website. If you haven't looked at your website in a while, that's what it could be. But I'm a little bit different with a lot of different website people, because I don't think that if you're a starting business that you have to have a website the way we think of it initially. I just want you to have a simple one-page website, get yourself a presence that you can expand and grow, because your business is going to change as your business changes and evolves and grows. It's like, as you grow up, you need different size shoes, and, maybe your style of shoes changes.
Your closet gets bigger.
Exactly. Exactly. So you want your website to be able to expand to that.
Yes.
So take your pressure off of yourself. We'll go back to the get more clients in a second, but that's the priority. Get clients, get paid, get people in, start telling people what you do, how you serve them, how you help them, and then worry about adding more to the site. But get something up that's going to talk about the problem you solve. Yeah. But it's also another visual is as you grow and as you expand, websites, number one, you're not printing 100,000 of them. So they can be changed and modified as you need to. But the second thing is this visual of, this little, picture this damp, dark basement with an old wooden desk. And you've got the little person leaning over the desk, and they're just working away and working away and working away. And they do that 24/7. You don't have to feed them. They don't have to take breaks. They don't have to go to the bathroom. That's what your website is. Yeah. It's that little person that can work away for you. So once you do that, it's your virtual salesperson. So there are a lot of reasons to do it. Just, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to represent you. It has to represent, like you said, you want it to be your vision, because if you're a gregarious, outgoing, colorful person, you don't want a dull website, because that's not you.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't. And I agree with you. So let's make that point right now. I have built businesses. I have generated income without having a website.
Absolutely.
Okay. I have generated money. I have built income. I've had businesses that all it takes to build a business is to go online and, get an LLC, get an EIN number, open up a bank account, and have an invoice that you can send someone. I don't care if it's paper on fax or however you're doing, or you send them an invoice through PayPal or Venmo and they pay you, and boom. Right now, you've got some money that you've generated for a service or a product that you're selling or offering, and that can pay for your website. right?
Absolutely.
To generate a one-page website. You could even do Pinterest and have your business on Pinterest and send people there and say, here's all of my products and goods in one place, right? It doesn't cost anything to do that. So, I'm glad that we're talking about this because, I always feel like, anytime anyone comes to your website, capture their information, right? Capture
Absolutely.
them when you're there. What can you give them? What can you give them as what we call a lead gen, right? Do you work with your clients on that, Lori?
Absolutely. And I've gotten to the point as the business has grown and matured, and as the need for lead magnets or lead gens has become a necessity, we don't build a website without them anymore. So we work with our clients on saying, all right, this would be a good lead gen for you. And, I have a client that we just had the discussion yesterday because her philosophy of her business, she wanted to be very mindful and very emotional and very, this is what this does. Well, it wasn't a lead magnet that was resonating with people. People weren't asking for it. So instead, she owns a cleaning company. We're switching over to something that every time I see on Pinterest, I will grab, which was your cleaning chart. What do I need to do every day to keep my house clean? What do I need to do every month? And there's a bazillion of them out there, but her customers weren't getting them from other places. So we're going to, we're working on re-switching that up and putting that there because see if that works. Because just like marketing, it was marketers that invented A/B testing. Because we don't have the magic ball to know what works. It's our ideal clients that tell us what works. So we play around with it until we find something that works and tweak it and do all the good stuff.
What are some other ideas that you have on how companies can drive leads? I work with a lot of solopreneurs in the Leap community. The women that are there for visibility, right? They want to be able to be on these platforms like you are today. They want to be able to be visible, be heard, be seen. That's the number one rule, right? You got to tell everyone about you, just like I said, in business. So that's one of the ways they can tell everyone about them. So they utilize the Leap community to drive more leads, to get more clients because people are seeing them. So getting out there, you yourself being visible, whether it be networking, whether you're doing blogs on other people's websites, because now they're backlinks linking to your website. And Google's crawling those. I have my lead gen as a list. Here's 7 quick ways for you to get visible. Do these 7 things right now in your business if you're not doing them. And it tells you how to take action. And there's links and get on other people's podcasts, whatever it is, just start here. It's how I built my business. So start here. And then, driving more clients seems to be the number one issue for everyone. My gosh, the choices out there today, Lori. There's Facebook ads, there's Instagram ads, there's LinkedIn ads, there's ads everywhere, Google ads, and everyone wants you to pay $2,000, $4,000, $5,000, $4,000, hundreds to thousands of dollars to advertise in these spaces. And it can drain a solopreneur's marketing budget very quickly without a return. So what are some tips that you could give our listeners on how they could get more leads and drive more clients that you're working with your clients on? What are those?
Sure. One of the first things we do, and I'm going to go here because it's marketing 101, and most people don't do it well enough or deep enough. Identify your ideal client. And I'm not talking about saying I work with women that are 40 years old that blah, 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 blah. I'm talking about really get to know who they are. I had a private client last week that we were working on. She started working with me, and that's the first thing that we did. And because she was struggling with getting clients and the same thing, getting known, getting out there. And we discovered by her really getting deep into her ideal client is that what the product that she offered helped with stress relief. I said, there's your ideal client. You work with busy professional women that are in stressful jobs that can utilize this technique to help them relax and get more done so they can be more productive and make more money. So that became by really digging in and finding out who that person was, we identified that. If we had just been doing it surface talk, we wouldn't have realized what the true need was for that. It was a little bit of a different product and a different service that she offered. The other thing that I discovered about that, and it may be out there. I haven't found it. I've been doing some research to see if anybody's made this connection with this yet. So this is the first. I'm announcing this here.
Yes, we love to be the first.
But it was kind of like well, that's a duh when I kind of started thinking about it, is that another reason is to really hone in and identify who it is it activates the reticular activating system. It activates that. I don't know what it's called because this isn't my zone of genius, but we hear a lot about the reticular activating system and how if you hone it and tell it what to look for, it will find it. Well, if it's out there looking for women that are 40 years old that you can help, they're all over the place. But if you tell them that you're looking for a professional woman who's in a high stress job and who's looking for a way to relax by using this, then all of a sudden that person might start appearing, which then becomes into, where to go on social media because where your ideal client is, where that person is. Because if that's a professional, they're probably on LinkedIn. This would be an unusual thing to show up on LinkedIn, but it would be different. So there's the second key, is making yourself different and differentiating yourself so that when people think of you or when your ideal client comes calling, now what makes you different. Because let's face it, there are a bazillion marketers in the world. There's a website designer on every street corner.
Right.
So what makes me different?
Yeah.
Why do people want to work with me?
That's right. I'm so glad you said that. Yeah. What makes you different is what makes you, right? It's exactly. Or the other way around. What makes you is what makes you different. So that's how you stand out. And I'm so glad you said that. Do the work. I have a spreadsheet and a worksheet that I put my clients through. And I know you do too, because if you're in marketing, you have to have it. And it was working with a marketing company that I developed this. And you go through this list and you are identifying what other celebrities or icons would this person be listening to, be paying attention to, maybe following on a podcast? What are their pain points?
Right.
What does their house look like? Meaning like, do they have children at home still? Yeah. Are they empty nesters? We're talking the details.
Right. Do they homeschool? Do they private school? Do they public school? Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of information you can get from all of that information.
Yeah. And so really identifying who your customer is, I think this is overlooked. Yes. Big time overlooked. And you've got to hit the pain points. You have a solution. So you have to know what their pain points are, because the minute you start saying those words, Lori, about maybe a woman that feels stressed or over, she's starting to now identify as a consumer with what you're writing. And she's saying, that's me. Right. That's me.
And for most people, their throat tends to close up and they're afraid of being really specific because they're afraid that they're going to turn off the other people in the world. But all it is a marketing message. You're just saying language that person will relate to. And that person has friends and you can sell, you can sell to anybody that needs your services.
Yeah,
and that's the big fallacy is no, it's just, you're talking about the pain points that they recognize. I have a story that several years ago, a woman says that she met a woman at a gym. They became friends. She got on her email list and this woman kept sending her emails about her product. It was a protein shake or something, health related product. And she basically ignored the emails until she said something about this product helped her mother with her diabetes and helped with this. And she gave the scientific evidence. And the woman says she perked up and said, okay, that's something I relate to. But it took about 7 or 8 emails of different talking points to say, okay, now, 15 years later, they are business partners. She bought her product. It became the starting of a whole new relationship because that one email out of all of the emails that she sent spoke to her. Yes,
that's right.
Spoke to her. And we forget that,
make them more personal, get detailed, make them more personal. Someone told me the other day, I thought this was very interesting. They said, so you don't work with men, huh? So you just cut off like 50% of your possible client load. And I said, well, there's millions of women out there. If I get 0.00008, 2% to work with me, I'm good. Like,
right.
Do you really think that you need both the men and the women to work with because your client load's going to get, I'm good, So really knowing who you are and not being desperate to say, I generally don't work with men, but I'll work with you anyway. It's like, no, I don't work with men. So everything I do is tailored toward a female entrepreneur.
Sure.
Everything I do. And this female entrepreneur is ready to take action. They want to grow their businesses. They're looking to grow. They want to grow. They're not like, not going to want to take action, happy with where their business is. That's not my ideal client. I have a specific drilled it down, and I know what other books they read. I know what other, people that they're listening to, the podcasts that they want to listen to, and which helps me then tailor my podcast to talking to this ideal consumer. Right. And even though I have 65%, I looked at last night on my Facebook analytics, you guys can all do this, by the way, 65% of my followers, my thousands and thousands of followers, are men. Yeah. Only 30% are female. Thought that was crazy. I looked at the ages. So they're all, the ages are in the ages that I anticipated. And a big portion of them are out of the country. I'm like, what the heck? Where are these people coming from, And it's just, you've got to look at your analytics. You've got to look at who is following you, who is listening, who is watching. You can do this on Facebook. You can do that. So what does that tell you right there? If most of them are out of the country and most of them are men, are my ideal clients on my Facebook? I would say probably not. If I look at my analytics of who's following me and what's happening. So when I look at my LinkedIn and I go through all of my thousands and thousands of people that are following me and connected with me, the majority of them are females. Yeah. Entrepreneurs, women in leadership positions. Right. That is my ideal demographic.
Right. And that tells you where to put your ad spend. It tells you where to do all of this. And it was interesting because I went back and refreshed some information to give to this client that I was working with, because we were talking about social media, and I pulled it up and I hadn't updated it in a couple of years. And it's like, it'll probably be okay. And I thought, well, let me just check a couple of them. So I checked Facebook, and a couple of years ago, the largest audience on Facebook was 55 to 65-year-old women. Today, 2 years later, it's 24-year-olds to 35-year-olds, which surprised the heck out of me.
Because we thought that was Instagram.
Exactly.
All the young ones were on Instagram and all the old ones. My kids told me when MySpace was out, everyone remember this, when MySpace was out and my children were on MySpace, I said, how do I make a MySpace account? And they looked at me like I had just taken off all my clothes in front of them and stood there in horror, right? They were like, what? Right. And I said, how do I make a MySpace account? And they go to Facebook. All the old people are there. And I had not Facebook was barely a thing then, way back in the day. And so I created a Facebook account back in 2008 or whatever year it was when it barely came out. And I created a Facebook account because that's where all the old moms and dads and people went, and I was super young back then, by the way. And I was like at the age of where, everyone on Instagram and all the young fun kids were. Right. And so I created a Facebook account, and then all of a sudden all my kids came over to Facebook, and I said, get out of here. This is for the old people, when MySpace went to, went away. And it's just so interesting to look at the evolution. I think that's the other point as we're closing out we need to make. You talked about if you've got to have visibility. So a one pager and a lead gen sitting on that one pager, something that your vision talks to your clients, start there. And then you talked about making sure, these are the first two steps, making sure you know who your ideal client is. So step one is know who your ideal client is. Go look at clients you've worked with in the past. Go look at who you identify with. How do you solve their problem? What type of person is this? Ask every question you can. I'm sure, Lori, you have a guide for them or something on how they're able to do that, right?
And I'm going to add something else to that ideal client, because we forget about this. Not only do you want somebody you enjoy working with and that appeals to your message, they have to be ready, willing, and able to pay you.
That's right.
And
thank you.
Ideal client, if they can't pay you, is not an ideal client.
Yeah. One of the questions that I ask is, how are you willing to invest in your growth, and how are you willing to pay for that?
Yeah.
I straight out asked that question. And I don't know why everyone is afraid to ask that question. You're a business. Amazon is not going to say, hey, Colleen, would you like to pay for this item, or are you going to try and get it for free today?
Right.
No, here's the price. If you don't like it, go buy another product. So it's not that I'm being cutthroat or mean, but I also want people to understand that you're going to find experts at every level. Lori's prices are going to look different than another website designer or another marketing strategist or another, business coach. They're all going to look different. And I will tell you this. Client just came to me the other day, said they paid someone to do something. They completely messed up the back end of their keep. They started working with a referral of mine. She's more expensive than the other one. And this friend of mine was saying, well, she's more expensive. And the keep trainer said, well, look at what you got when you paid him.
Exactly.
It's all screwed up. And now I have to fix everything.
Exactly.
So you get what you pay for. And I do believe, honestly, I hate to say this, there are a lot of people out there that are taking advantage of people and overcharging, and you're not getting what you were promised and delivered. And it's just horrible that anyone exists that way in business and aren't honest. I really, it's saddening to me when women come to me and say, I paid $10,000 to be in this program. They promised me all these things, and 3 months in, we didn't get any of it, and they ignored me, and no one would talk to me, or blah, blah, blah. And I hate to see that, because Lori, you and I were over deliverers. I mean, we're going to give them the highest quality possible, because our goal is for you to succeed. That's our goal, right? Yeah. So tell everyone how they find you. Sure. I know you have an offer for them today. You guys, this is just, you want to connect with Lori. You want to connect with Lori because she's been doing this for years. You just heard her say she started back in marketing. Was it 2006? 2008, did you say?
Actually, it was more like 1980 something.
1980, okay. Oh, that's right. You became Blockbuster. That's right. I was going to say that. You became Blockbuster because you were doing the old DVDs and the pamphlets and the packages and all the old things that our dads, had packages of for sales and all of that they would buy. And just like Blockbuster, because they didn't evolve, Netflix, Redbox, they all took over, and all the Blockbusters went away. And you had decided this is archaic. This is old. This is not, I've got to reinvent myself moving into the future and do digital marketing a different way than you were doing it back in the day. Can't do it that way anymore. We don't fax forms. I have literally had someone today, when I wanted to cancel something, said, fill this out and fax it. And I said, don't even have a fax machine. Don't know where to find a fax machine anymore. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Fill it out like with a pen and a paper and then fax it somewhere. No,
I don't even snap a picture of it and text it to you. Yeah.
Crazy. Yes. So tell us, Lori, how do we connect with you? How do we get in touch with you? What do you have for our audience today?
Yeah, I'm going to make it really simple, because my gift, when you go get my gift, it's also got all the links to where you can connect with me. And I know that they'll be in the show notes and all that kind of stuff. But my gift for you is the top 10 messy marketing mistakes that business owners make. So, and it talks a little bit, kind of encapsulates plus more of all we talked about today.
Give us just one little one. Tell me one.
Spending too much time on social media, because social media is your soundbite. Your website is the full story. So that's one of them when we talk about that. Yes. Yeah. So it's HTTP messymarketing.com. And that'll take you right to my website. You can download the mistakes there, and you can get all the goodies underneath there. And
you guys, it's free stuff. I tell everyone it's free. So get out there and get the free guide. I have guides sitting all over here in front of me. I got one, was given one the other day right here in front of me that says, are you boring your audience on LinkedIn?
That's a great title.
It is. You boring your clients. And it literally is 5 check marks about state the thing that everyone else is too afraid to say to themselves is one of them. State the thing. So it's like 5 really fast things on what you can do on your LinkedIn. So I printed it off, downloaded it, printed it off, have it right here at my desk. And it's like, well, the next time I do a LinkedIn, I'm going to make sure I'm looking at these to say, am I sharing something fun? Am I doing a photo or a video that isn't some stock something? It says, give stock photos a break. and do something fun with yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So I love that. And these are fun little ways that we can change things up. If you are not driving enough clients, getting enough leads, making enough money, and you want to utilize what Lori has to offer you, utilize these free resources to be able to download and get these. And then like Lori said, you might just get something one day from her in the mail, whether it come email or whatever it is, your snail mail. You might just get something that speaks to you at a time when your business is ready to do something with her. It doesn't have to be today. I tell everyone that. It doesn't have to be today. Sometimes you think no one's crickets out there, right? Is anyone even looking at anything I post or reading any of my emails till I hit a chord, and it's overwhelming how many clicks you get.
Oh yeah.
And
One of my favorite songs is Garth Brooks. It's an old song. If you're a country music fan, has a song called Unanswered Prayers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you listen to it, the words are really powerful because we don't know when we pray for, what we pray for, what we ask for. Maybe it's not the right thing for us. So maybe that, you're asking for the right thing and you just have to be patient and wait. Or if not, then we've just gone on to now podcast number 4, I think.
Right. We could do several different podcasts on this, but I hope you all got something out of the leads, the generating the leads, how to get your ideal client. We talked about a few powerful things. She's got a free, great giveaway on all the messy mistakes that you guys are making in marketing. And let me tell you this, it will probably shave off 30 minutes to an hour of your week if you probably are making these messy mistakes, at least. I'm just going to say at least.
If not more. Yeah.
And then number one, I swear everyone always says, I am too busy. I can't add another thing. So I always say, let's analyze what you're busy doing, because I bet I could take about 4 hours off of what you're doing that's not producing anything that you could get rid of or hand off to someone else easily. Easily. Oh, yeah. So our responsibilities as the CEOs of our business are to be the vision. When you work in corporate America and a CEO of a Fortune 500 company or 25,000 employees isn't standing next to your desk telling you how to change that email up that you're sending out to a client, right? I doubt it.
Yeah. Or he's not posting to Facebook or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. I doubt it. So the reason why I share that is because that's your responsibility. You're the vision. You're, right now you might be the sales and the marketing for the company. Maybe you have someone working with you that is also doing that, but you're the brand, as solopreneurs, you're the brand. So you need to be doing things that drive the clients, that get the leads, that are converting, that are enrolling. That is your responsibility. Your foot is on the pedal. Mm-hmm. And Lori, it was just a wonderful conversation today.
It was. So I don't think it went anywhere where we thought it was going to go, but that's the fun of these it's a meandering Sunday drive.
Yeah, it is. That's why podcasts are so great. I love stories. I love to hear and learn about other people and what they're doing. And we always learn something new. We always learn something new out of this. So thank you for being here. And ladies, listen to this. You are the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. So you might not be sit and wait for someone to give you permission, because you're going to have to give yourself permission for you to do this lead generation, to enroll more clients, to get rid of all the messy marketing mistakes that you're making. You need to be the one that makes these decisions. Invest in people that are going to help you get where you want to go. Invest in coaches. Invest in people like Lori, who are going to be able to help you strategize your marketing, really dive down to who that ideal client is. These are people that are aligned and are out here because they're skilled and they're ready to work with you through their programs for you to get where you want to go. And it's a lonely road out there. You can sit and just barely try and climb this hill all by yourself, hanging out on some island, or you can surround yourself with people that are going to get you there faster.
Absolutely.
Network is your net worth. We talk about it all the time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got gentlemen out there listening to us too. Thank you so much for joining us today. Lori, thank you so much for being our guest. We want to thank Trisha Peridot with Turning Leaves Recovery for being our sponsor today. And until next time, everyone, be you and be strong. Take care. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.